AM 1380, The Biz, the Wall Street Business Network.
Are you one of the 9 million Floridians living in a community managed by a property manager or HOA? If you've ever wondered what your rights are as a resident or what your role is as a volunteer board member, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Condo Coaches, your resource for when your gated community starts to feel more like you're stuck behind bars, or when that guy next door decides that a hot pink Chevy on cinder blocks really sets the tone for the neighborhood. The Condo Coaches is brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. And now your host, Johnny Torres.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's the Condo Coaches radio show, broadcasting anywhere, everywhere, 24/7 online at thecondocoaches.com. You can also catch previous episodes not only on our website, thecondocoaches.com, but you can also catch us on YouTube. Every episode is there on YouTube. Just search The Condo Coaches, facebook.com/The Condo Coaches, and, of course, our podcast version, my favorite version. You can take it with you on the go, on your daily commute. You can listen to the Condo Coaches on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and lots more. So whether you like the audio version, the video version, you can catch us there. And I've actually been really enjoying it, watching it on the Apple TV. I've been playing around with that a lot, and so through that you can also catch it on YouTube as well. And so for those of you listening to the radio show for the first time, we are a team of volunteers here who come on the show every week to share our expertise to help you run your condominium or homeowner association effectively, efficiently, and on budget. We take your emails, your calls, and we help you through these issues, whether you're a resident or whether you're a board member. The Condo Coaches are here to help you. The way you can get on the show, there's a few ways. You can go on our website. We have a few contact forms there. Thecondocoaches.com. Again, that's thecondocoaches.com. You can also email us your question, a great way for us to get to communicate with you because it gives us a little more time to get the right person in touch with you and also get you the answer you're looking for. And that email address is help@thecondocoaches.com. help@thecondocoaches.com. And then, of course, if you'd love to hear Dean's lovely voice, you can give us a call at 813-331-5415 anywhere in the United States or even the world, I guess, nowadays. 813-331-5415 is our phone number. And as I just said, joining me as always, head coach Dean Akers.
How are you doing, Johnny?
Doing awesome. Had the family in town, about 8 people. They came up from South Florida in a 15-passenger van, but, it was great. I hadn't seen them since Thanksgiving, so it was nice spending some time with the family.
It's always fun when you get your families together.
Yeah, and about 6 to 8 months apart. That's okay. I can handle that.
Yeah, and then they barrage you in, and you remember why 6 to 8 months is a good amount of time.
Right, it's a tornado. You come, and then you remember. Okay, that was nice, and I'll see you around Christmas. So, how about you?
Well, I always equate. It's funny we do the Condo Coaches now. We talk about communication and responsibility and listening. That plays with families, too.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, it's incredible.
You get an extended family. It's just crazy how you've got to learn to listen, especially if you're the host.
Well, and now there's no excuse, right? Because now everybody has a smartphone, and now everybody's on Facebook or WhatsApp, or so you have no excuse not to be calling mom or at least touching base with mom, once or twice a day, if not a week. And so, I used to be one of those guys, terrible, calling my mom and dad and that sort of thing, and there's no excuse now. So
not at all.
No, but it's great. Helps everybody be tighter and stronger. And so it was great to see them. But back to life as usual. And with us, our guest today, Derek Lovett from Leyland Management. He's going to be our property management coach for the day, and we're going to get a little bit into property management and expectations, communication, again, how to build that relationship and have a great working relationship between not only the board of your homeowner association, but also the residents as well, because they play into that from time to time, I'm sure. But before we do that, we'd love to open the show with some of Dean's recaps of the different meetings, emails, phone calls that we've gotten throughout the week. Who you been in touch with?
Well, I've had, as usual, I've had boards calling me and emailing us on this financial analysis.
That's right.
I think right now that may be our most popular request, where we look at 2016, 2015. They send the management reports. We spread both balance sheets, income statements, everything, and give them a review. We have one now that we're really helping, and it's crazy what we've had come out of that one from the context of journal entries and stuff. That's going to be somewhere north of $300,000 worth of impacts on the financials, and not in a good way.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to, let's say, when you're buying a car, it's like, all right, you got, 24 pieces of paper that you got to sign. But at the end of the day, you just want to know how much is it going to hit my budget every month. And I think most people serving on a board, again, not in a bad way, it's just the way it is, don't have the knowledge that they need to properly understand the financial statements that they get. And so the financial assessment that we do allows us to break it down in a much easier way for them to understand.
Yeah, the assessment we're going to give them back is like, we don't have a dog in the fight.
Right.
So it's a really clean assessment. We're not CPAs.
It's a second opinion.
It's a second opinion from a business point of view.
Yeah.
And what's cool about Derek joining us today, he's joining us as a property management, but he was always on the board for a number of years in associations. So he brings the full vast. And at lunch we were talking about this whole scenario of financial issues, and that's still my biggest one. And then from homeowners, we get all kinds of stuff. We had one this past week that, or a week or so ago, that emailed us about. She has a great idea to help mothers and grandmothers share with their young daughters the skill of doll making and dress making, and she wanted to know if that's okay to do in a condo.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is it's not really okay or not okay. It's according to what their association allows and if they're allowed to bring in extras. But
not only that, some associations may have fees to use the clubhouse and that sort of thing. And so, again, even the most genuine and cute and just a wholesome idea doesn't mean that you're going to get a pass on the $200-300 rental fee of the clubhouse.
Well, what I recommended back to her is I thought it was a great idea, the way she outlined it. And I said, what you better served is you go to your local parks and community, with your city or county. They do arts things. They set things up. They'll promo it. They'll do everything. And
absolutely.
You can get out. It's a great idea to help young women and their parents.
And they give you the space for free.
Oh, yeah. Space for free, help you out. And plus, it's a great mission she's on. So we encourage her to continue her mission. I don't know if it's going to be in a condo rec hall.
Right. But again, that might even be a much better approach, which is to get affiliated with the local parks and recreation and build a program out of it. So now instead of having it just in one location, now you're going to have it all across the county.
Right.
And that would be a huge impact.
Right. And Derek's probably going to talk a little bit about this today, or we can certainly get him to talk about it. But we also had another inquiry from the other side of the state where this particular board member felt like there was cronyism going on with the current board and the property manager.
Okay.
There were 3 members of the board that they go out to lunch and da-da-da-da-da. And he felt like it was cronyism and is there term limits and blah, blah, blah. And the reality is no. And a good property manager, he may address this, needs to have a great relationship with the board. And maybe they need to connect with this new board member and get them in the loop, because communication's huge.
Well, and again, sometimes it's perception, and perception, not always reality. And so just because of, whoever the property management representative and let's say the board or the president of the board are friends or they get along, doesn't mean that there's any kind of wrongdoing going on.
And then the House or the Florida legislature is trying to wrap up.
Right. Yeah.
The operative word they're trying.
Definitely trying to wrap up.
There's a couple things that are going on there that I think are going to be good. I think they're going to pass. There's a bill out there for requiring anybody that has 150 units or more, condo association, to provide all the documents on a website in PDF. And at lunch we were talking about it. We have boards or property managers that actually say, you've got to do the certified letter request, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The minute you tell a homeowner that, they think you're hiding something.
Right.
And this is
It's so antiquated.
I know. Nobody does that. So hopefully that law will pass. And then there's always been a debate on these foreclosures because the rights to homeowner association and condos to foreclose. Mm-hmm. Some of the board members are have bought units and bought them in a legitimate way at auctions and stuff, but they get kind of a conflict of interest appearance And my general deal is if you're going to be on a board, you ought to steer clear of that, even if it's a great deal.
Right.
It's
and just recuse yourself. And,
Yeah.
You know, if you need to resign, you know, but it's going to make everybody's life a lot easier.
Yeah, there's no upside to that. There's always going to be somebody question something. So.
Because if you're serving on the board, then they're going to think that you are swaying decisions to favor you being not only a homeowner, but also a property owner within the community.
Yeah, and we've had this with boards we've worked with. They'll go, well, can't we buy the one? Why can't I buy this one that we're foreclosing on? We can just buy it real quick. And I go, somebody's going to see that, and they're not going to be. There's no upside.
Right, because they're kind of getting the jump on these properties that are coming available, and so people are saying, okay, well, you're sitting on the board, you're getting, first notice really that this property is going to be coming available in your community, and now you're jumping on buying it.
Well, you have that, the true debt, the condition of the property. You have a lot of insider trading knowledge. For
right.
Sure, right, yeah, a lot of informational leverage. Right,
yeah,
in that kind of a situation. Yeah. So, and I'm sure, again, with Derek, we're going to get into a lot of rehashing of emails and questions we've gotten from past shows. So we really appreciate you being here, Derek. And again, our show topic for today is going to be Property Management Association expectations and communication. And so if you want to add to the show, whether it be an issue or a question, hit us up now, help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. You can also call us at 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415, and of course our website, thecondocoaches.com. That's thecondocoaches.com, where in just a few minutes here, in the next segment, I'll actually get into these playbooks that are sitting here right in front of me. We've got these 4 beautiful playbooks, and I'm going to tell you not only why you want to get your hands on these, but also how much they cost. No, I'll just tell you they're free. But I'll tell you how you can get them here in the next segment. Again, it's the Condo Coaches radio show with me, head coach Dean Akers. Also our guest today, property management coach Derek Lovett. And again, you want to be a part of the show, very easy to do. Go to our website, thecondocoaches.com. Our number, 813-331-5415. Or email us, help@thecondocoaches.com. Segment 2 coming up.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. And you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Hey, welcome back. Again, the Condo Coaches radio show, helping you run your homeowners or condominium association effectively, efficiently, and on budget. With me, head coach Dean Akers, and also our property management coach for today's show, Derek Lovett from Leland Management, joining us today. And of course, I would think that obviously the majority of the time these things all kind of stay the same, right? I mean, over the decades, I'm sure that the problems and don't change a whole lot. But would you say that there's maybe problems that trend, especially now with maybe technology being a factor? I mean, what are some of the kind of different scenarios you're seeing now, or does it trend by season? Yep. What are you kind of seeing right now out there?
Well, good afternoon, Johnny and Dean. Thanks for inviting us in here. Yes, some of the things that do trend. Recently, last couple of years, collections were a significant new item that really came on the front burner for all the board of directors.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing we brought up just recently was the technology, the ability for homeowners to be able to easily access the community's information via the websites.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so has that been a big education process with the board of directors and the residents, in other words, to get them to transition again from the paper printouts and stuff to getting their documents online?
That's correct. Leland Management is actually moving to an all-digital format. So we are slowly but surely getting away from really paper anything.
Great.
And that includes the information for the homeowners and the board of directors.
Yeah.
There is even opportunities now where board of directors have the ability just to go directly to a website to approve invoices. So a service can be done and can be paid without a single piece of paper being printed out.
Well, and I remember when I bought my first townhouse and I got the HOA documents. I mean, it was like every volume of Encyclopedia Britannica just compiled into one big binder. It was ridiculous, and it was also a big cost. Not that they're hurting for money, but it was a big cost to the builder as well to have to print out all these booklets because they were hundreds of pages for just one home.
Yeah.
And now, for the boards themselves, give me an idea of what you're advising them in terms of file storage and that sort of thing. I mean, are you advising them to just use like some of the free tools that are out there, or are you as a property management company establishing some kind of internal file systems for them?
Well, each management company will have their own way of handling the records. Obviously, Florida statutes will dictate what records they're required to keep and how long. But as far as managing each homeowners association, each management company will have their own way of doing it. We recommend moving forward. Really, everything's a digital format. You can save everything online now and just save time and space, and then you don't have to rent an actual storage space to hold your records from 2009 right now.
That's right.
And those types of things.
Well, and there are services out there that'll take your old documents, right, and they'll scan them and everything and then give them to you in a digital format.
That's correct.
And then at that point, maybe you do throw them in a storage room where you'll probably never look at them ever again, or you can have them destroyed because now you have the digital copies.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're still recommending that you keep the physical copies for the last 7 years.
Right.
But yeah, you're exactly right. You do have those options.
Yeah, and again, I mean, every property management company works differently. But do you all have online storage that you've developed internally, or are you just recommending, hey, use Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox and that sort of thing?
Well, we do have a software program that keeps the official records.
Okay.
But it's still...
But that's yours.
It's still internal to
your
the
company.
management company. That is correct.
What about for the board members? What about for the different boards? What are you recommending they do for their copies of paperwork?
Yeah, I mean, you can still have the Google storages and those types of options on there.
Yeah.
At this point, you're still going to have the physical copies, but we are starting to see technology, so to speak, catch up with these type of instances, and we hope there's more options moving forward that the homeowners and the condo associations can utilize.
I would suggest this Senate bill that's coming out that's going to require electronic documents for 150 plus is just the first giant step to the elimination of paper, period.
Right. Well, again, what's the need for it? It's rarely referenced, and if you do need to reference it, you can't get much easier than pulling it up on a tablet, a computer, or a phone and be able to look through the document there.
Yeah, and I think that's back to Derek's point. That's just going to morph. Yeah. There's going to be a day that you'll never see a piece of paper stored for records keeping, like minutes and all that.
That's right.
Well, and for these boards that are out there, I would recommend that they bring on somebody. Maybe that's if you find that the demographics skew a little older, maybe you bring in somebody that is younger, even if they're not a resident. Maybe they're a grandchild, maybe they're a son, a daughter, that sort of thing. But somebody that's familiar with this type of technology to advise them on what's the best way to store these documents, but also make them readily and easily accessible to all residents.
You know what? It's funny, but one of the association groups that the Condo Coaches has been to, a lot of people there still have flip phones.
Yeah.
A lot of people there, this is a plus 55 community.
Sure.
But they don't have internet.
Oh, wow.
They don't even, I don't use it.
Right.
Well, the Condo Coaches ask this question. Would you be interested in learning how to move into a technological era to this big group of people we were down visiting 2 weeks ago? And the answer was yes. So we're putting a Condo Coach technology introduction
workshop
for these big associations down in Palm Beach County.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it should be really cool. And what's funny is they're interested in doing it. And this one particular, we were talking about it at lunch, they just signed a contract with one of the major cable providers down there. But the cable providers didn't provide internet because the board half of them said, well, we don't need internet, we don't use it.
Yeah.
So they have a 10-year contract with
That doesn't
no
include
high-speed
internet.
No, so
Jeez,
everybody's having to get their own junk.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
Well, and if you'd like to establish a technology committee on your board of directors, or you'd like for the Condo Coaches to come down and put on a technology workshop to get you up to speed, all you got to do is reach out to us. And again, there's a few ways to do that. The condocoaches.com, our website being the most likely easiest way, I would think, for most people. Just go to the condocoaches.com. There's a few contact forms on there where you can reach out to us. You can also call us at 813-331-5415 and say, hey, Dean, what's that technology stuff you're talking about? And he'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction or get you set up for a workshop. And of course, email. And so, it's kind of that, rock in a hard place, because if you don't have the internet, you most likely may not have an email address.
Well, and we did something last week too. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but we have a demographic software now where we can geofence a community, especially a community that a big HOA.
Yep.
And we can give you the Nielsen and the demographics and everything. And this particular association had an issue when we did the demographics. It was clear that the issue is more perceived than in fact. And so we were able to send that back out. And again, you're entitled to your opinions, but not your own facts.
That's right.
And it just was really clear that the issue could not possibly be as big as a few people thought.
Right. So if you are the Lone Ranger in your community with an email address, you can email us.
Yeah.
Help at thecondocoaches.com. Help at thecondocoaches.com. And again, we'll get you set up on the technology committee and on the technology front, get you up to speed here in 2017. And speaking of our website, again, before we kind of continue on with Derek here, I just want to tell you that you also want to go on our website to download these booklets. Now, I've got 4 of them here, each one of them different. And these are incredibly valuable and have been incredibly popular. We've printed off thousands of these. This first booklet alone has been printed over 4,000 times. We've printed over 4,000 copies, and they've just gone like wildfire. And it's the top 10 most important things you need to know if you're an HOA or a COA board member. Again, it's a free download right now. And not only are you getting the one booklet, but you're actually getting all 4 when you go to thecondocoaches.com. The second booklet being collecting delinquent association fees. Again, very popular topic, and also the lifeblood of your community. So collecting delinquent association fees, the second booklet in the series. Third, and I'm sure the one that's going to be getting a lot of attention soon, the ABCs of holding elections. And also incredibly valuable. You want to make sure that your elections for your board of directors are on the up and up, and then you're meeting all the requirements, and then also they run smoothly, so you can minimize the drama there. And our final booklet so far, because there are more of these coming, Understanding Your Community's Finances. In segment 1, Dean was talking about, again, the financial assessment that the Condo Coaches do to help you better understand your community's finances. Well, we also break it down in this booklet here, and you can get all 4 of these booklets absolutely free in a digital format. Speaking of technology, you'll get the PDFs to all 4 of these booklets when you go to the condocoaches.com/playbook if you want to go directly to the page. Again, that's the condocoaches.com/playbook.
What's interesting, we just talked about technology, and that's up on our links.
That's right.
We're mailing out hundreds of these a week.
Oh, yeah. We still get requests for the hard copy.
Yeah.
We still get requests
and
for the hard copies.
And we're mailing them to people at no charge, so
Yeah.
we're helping anybody we can.
But you know what? I'm the same way. Like, I don't find myself being able to read at length on a digital device.
Right.
If I'm reading a news article or something like that, awesome. I'm done in a few minutes. But if I'm reading a book or a magazine, I need the hard copy.
Right.
And so if you want the hard copy, just shoot Dean an email. Help at thecondocoaches.com. That's help at thecondocoaches.com for a hard copy of our booklets. And so, Derek, we've got just under a minute left, but, I mean, would you say these are pretty valuable?
Very valuable. I've had the benefit and the opportunity to read them.
Good.
And, for any homeowner that just has some basic questions, I recommend you go to the
website. Because it helps
website.
clear up a lot of questions.
Yes, sir.
Day one. I mean, if you've never been on a board before, these are going to get you up to speed and ready to serve your community.
Agreed.
All right. So, again, you want to be part of the show. It's very easy to do. I'll give out the phone number, email, and website website again, thecondocoaches.com, thecondocoaches.com. You can also call us 813-331-5415. And you can also email us, help@thecondocoaches.com. We're talking property management expectations and communication with Derek, head coach Dean Aker. Segment 3 of the Condo Coaches coming right up after this.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Property management, expectations, and communication, our topic for today, the Condo Coaches radio show. If you're just tuning in, and again, the Condo Coaches are a team of volunteers here sharing their expertise to help your community or condominium association run effectively, efficiently, and on budget. Joining us today, property management coach Derek Lovett and head coach Dean Akers. So we tackled a little bit of the technology aspect of that. We have also talked about just some conflict of interest and all that, because we even got an email recently where there was apparently a property manager that was maybe trying to influence the election for the board of directors. How do you kind of make sure that you're not crossing those lines? Because it's very gray, right, between building a relationship with those board members and then, of course, actively trying to make sure that you're trying to get people on the team there that you can work with.
That's exactly right, and the association manager should really just taking a neutral approach. It is the membership of the community that is electing the board of directors, so we're there just to ensure that the proper procedures are followed, Florida statutes as well as your governing documents, and let the cards fall where they may. Whoever's on the ballot gets elected to the board.
Now, because I see this in my community, I'm sure it happens in every community, you're getting calls, emails from residents and board members alike. What's the best approach to get something resolved? Is it to go through the board every single time and then have you communicate directly with the board? Or is this really, does it really not matter if they go to you directly or if they go to the board directly?
Well, it goes back to what Dean was speaking about before. It's communication.
Okay.
If you have good communication with your board of directors, obviously you'd want to utilize that tool, but your association manager should really be the center point on there. If there are any questions that arise that the association manager cannot understand completely based on the documents, you do need to get your association attorney involved to make sure your election is fair and the proper way to be the procedures properly followed.
And we do hear oftentimes where, we've had recently a question, does the property management company need to be present at every meeting? What's your opinion on that? What's your suggestion on that? Okay.
They do not.
That's the official, right?
That's right. I mean, unless your contract dictates something, Florida statutes mandates 2 meetings a year, and that's the budget and the annual meeting for the membership. But depends on what your contract says with that vendor. Otherwise, me as an association manager, I'm at every meeting.
Okay. So you make it a point to be there at every meeting unless they say, hey, sit this one out. We're going to try to have just a meeting between residents.
That's exactly right, Johnny.
Yeah.
And as a property manager, having been a condo coach, sitting in the meetings where they said, why don't you sit this one out? It's never a good thing for the property manager.
You usually want to be with those also, but you ultimately want to follow the direction of your board of directors.
Right.
But you need to have the pulse of your community. You need to understand the culture of your community. And again, it goes back to the communication, and you're somewhat the centerpiece of that. So whether you're providing opinions or not, you still kind of need to see the stream of information so you can kind of get the lay of the land.
And talk about the benefits, right? Because again, some people may be uncomfortable to have the property management company there for every meeting. Talk about the benefits and obviously why you make it a point to go to every meeting.
Well, the number one benefit, like I said, is just understanding the culture of your community, which way is it ebbing and flowing. Mm-hmm. However, you need to be able to prepare yourself for what the board is deciding on, which way are they going. Are they looking to go this particular way in a project? Plus, you should be having communication prior to that meeting so you can develop all the information that's needed that's going to be discussed. So at the board meeting, final decisions can be made.
And when we talk about there being changes on the board and everything, how are you managing that turnover? How are you finding best to get them up to speed? I mean, of course, that's part of the reason why we created these playbooks, sure. Because we want to get them educated, and knowledgeable, and ready to serve. What are some of the things that a property manager can do, again, to best inform or educate their board on how things run?
Sure. There's several ways you can do this. Also, each community obviously is going to be different. Do they have staggered terms, or are they just annual terms for the board of directors? Do you have a full turnover where all 3, 5, 7, or 9 of your board of directors are getting switched out that year, or is it just a certain number based on the staggered terms? Mm-hmm. If you have the staggered terms, it's a little bit easier because you kind of have a foundation that's already there. And then you bring the new ones on. You can kind of brief them of current contracts that are coming up. During a turnover process from the developer stage to where the board of directors, the homeowners are taking the board of directors position, we actually provide a booklet to them which has all the information in the community, all the contracts, collection policies, all those types of things, so they can kind of, on their own time, kind of bring themselves up to speed. So they can understand what's going on.
Well, and that actually leads perfectly into a question that I've kind of been sitting on, because I even told Dean about a week ago that I wanted to do a show just on the transition process, because the community I live in actually is going through this right now. And so there's, of course, a lot of information and misinformation going around. Tell us a little bit about what that process is like. I know it differs from builder to builder and depends on whether you're in a condominium versus a single-family home community. But maybe kind of give us a broad approach, and then maybe we can narrow it down a little bit to some specifics.
Sure, Johnny. And listen, to be honest with you, as a homeowner in a community, it's really the same commitment. It's really just getting involved, having the meetings with the board of directors, having a clear communication with your association manager just to understand what is happening. Because whether the developer is the decision maker, the board of directors, or the homeowners, it's really the same process. Yeah. It's just who's in control of making the decision, so to speak, by majority.
Well, let's start at the beginning, right? Okay. So how typically is that first board selected, right? They're not being elected by the homeowners because the builder's still in charge or the developer's still in charge. So how is the first board determined or chosen?
It's determined by the articles of incorporation that are filed with the state.
Okay.
And that's usually members of the developer themselves.
Right.
Some, obviously, we keep reiterating this, each community's documents are different depending on when a homeowner can actually sit on the board. But generally speaking, if you go to the turnover process, which is when that full board of directors is going to be turned over and you'll have new representatives from the owners, that's usually when about 90% of the homes are sold in the community.
Okay.
So up until that point, you're in essence going to have the developer making the decisions as the board of directors.
And they're basically just kind of preparing for their complete exit.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And again, it goes back to the homeowners really getting involved. We've seen it both ways. We've seen it where you have very active communities, and they're actually starting the committees prior to the turnover. So they're already kind of getting, again, the culture of the community established. Because the developer's only going to be there for the short period of time.
Right.
Once they're done developing and selling their homes, they're, by all practices of this conversation, out of the picture.
Yeah.
And then it's really the homeowners to really take it from that point. And that's really where they can start putting their stamp or the culture of the community and implementing that.
So that's definitely something you would recommend is for the homeowners to start establishing these committees beforehand on maybe some of the key things that they want to make sure that they have people in place for even before the board is put in place.
Yes, and the most important period is really the 6 months prior to the turnover and really the first 90 to 120 days after the turnover. That's really where you can really have the ear of the developer and really start making some changes prior to the actual turnover of the board of directors.
Now, from the property management perspective, I mean, we talk committees. We're a big fan of those committees. What are some committees you would recommend, again, to kind of get this process started before the transition takes place?
Well, what are the biggest costs to your association? Are they insurance? Are they the landscape contract? That's really where I would start, maybe just walking with the association manager and the landscape manager, whoever the landscape manager is for that community. Once a month, go take a walk with them. Find out what are the issues that the board is having to deal with. Like you were saying before about the data you have. That may be a big thing that you find out. Everybody says, oh, well, there's weeds in the annual beds at the entrance. Well, you may find that maybe there's an issue with the irrigation system that's not being filtered down to the homeowners, and they just don't have that information.
Not only that, those committees are going to want to build that relationship with that vendor because there may also be things and reasons why the builder was or wasn't doing certain things, and there may be suggestions that vendor could make, right, in that situation that's exactly might right. improve or might save them some money because again all that gets handed over.
That's exactly right. And once the homeowner representative board starts making the decisions and ratifying the budget, then those homeowners that participate in that committee may say, hey, listen, these are some things that we may want some changes that'll make this community look that much better next year. So once the turnover's over, they'll actually have several months worth of data saying, listen, this is what we saw in the community with the landscaper. We feel these dollar amounts is what we're going to need next year to really upgrade it to what we want to see happen in this community.
Now, and again, using my particular community as an example, right now, and I don't know, again, how accurate this information is, but they're saying that the builder actually gets to choose who the initial board members are going to be. Is that possible? Is that something that is permitted?
Well, we have to look at your documents, but I believe they have already made that initial board decision.
Okay.
When you do the turnover, the membership will make that vote on who's on the ballot. Or the owners will be able to put their name on the ballot. The membership will be able to vote for the names on the ballot.
So the builder's board, right, for lack of a better term, will get to decide based on whoever puts their name up.
No, the membership will do the vote.
Oh, okay.
Do the vote.
So they will hold, a thorough election at that meeting for the transition.
I would make an observation
because they can't just say, okay, I want Bob and Bill and Mary and okay, and that's that's the miss.
But the builder boards generally want to be gone.
That's correct.
That's true.
Yeah. They're not like going, oh wow, I get to be on the board, the volunteer board of this place.
Right. That's right. I worked for the builder, and trust me, I mean, there was one. That's one of those things that we're always looking forward to, which is handing the board over and just moving on to the next project. And
well, up to that point, they have the biggest investment into that community, so
right.
They had the biggest say up to that point. Once 95% of the homes are sold already, now you're in essence going to have this natural transition where it's really a new culture that's going to be established in your community.
And one of the things we talked about at lunch is, and for turnover, these interim, they need to really study the specific scope, because the developer may have had a lot of good scope, and then the new board doesn't follow that up, and the thing could go down. Or
so get a really solid read of where the community is in that time.
On specific scope for all the projects, and then also for the management company, what the expectations are.
All right, segment 3 here, and we're going to get ready here for another segment with Derek from Leland Management, our property management coach for the day. Head coach, Dean Akers. It's the Condo Coaches radio show. You want to jump in? Give us a call, 813-331-5415, 813-331-5415, or shoot us an email, help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com. We'll be back.
Contact the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. More of the Condo Coaches is coming up next.
Life is full of bittersweet transitions. It's difficult to know how these changes will impact us over time. For some people, difficult transitions like retirement, divorce, or loss of a loved one can hit harder than expected and may contribute to feelings of hopelessness or even thoughts of suicide. The risk of suicide is even higher for men over 50 who served our country. Guys like me. That's why support from friends and family makes such a big difference. Every day, your actions could help save a life. Together, we got this. Learn how you can help save a life at veteranscrisisline.net.
Welcome back to the Condo Coaches, online at thecondocoaches.com. Here's your host, Johnny Torres.
Thank you so much to everybody for listening, whenever, wherever you may be doing so. Again, you can catch every episode of the Condo Coaches online at thecondocoaches.com. You can also find every episode on youtube.com. Just search for the Condo Coaches, or head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/the Condo Coaches, where we do stream live every Monday around 1 o'clock. So make sure you're getting those notifications. Be sure to like our Facebook page. Want to say a quick hello to Matthew Wayland, who's watching our live stream. He says he's also going to make sure to catch up on the podcast version as well. So if you want to do that, you can do so at iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Those are kind of our main channels where we put the podcast out, but there's even some others that, like Overcast and things, that kind of overlap with in terms of podcast services. So I love the podcast version because, again, I use it on my commute and get my additional fix of the Condo Coaches. I listen more for self-critiquing, just to make sure I'm doing a decent job here and providing you with the questions and information that you might have, being a board member or resident of a homeowners or condominium association, because, again, we're here to help you run your community effectively, efficiently, and on budget. Our guest coach for today, property management coach Derek Lovett and head coach Dean Akers. We were talking again about property management expectations and communication. What are some of those expectations? What is also maybe some of the misinformation in terms of what a property management company does or doesn't do?
Yeah, that's something that every board of director needs to have communication with their association manager. They need to have it in several ways. If you're a homeowner, you need to understand the procedures. Who do you contact in certain situations? And then as a board of director, you need to have communication with your association manager. What is the chain of command? If I have something that I need to have addressed, do I go to the board president? Do I go to the association manager to have this facilitated?
Yeah, and do you typically find that it's easier if they just come to you, or do you, again, I mean, we kind of addressed this in the first one, do you prefer them to just go to the board? I mean, and again, that's not always an easy answer because there may be animosity there may be some issues there between the residents and the board members, but is it better to funnel that communication through the board?
Personally, I would like to have as much information as possible.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you have a 3, 5, 7 member board, I mean, listen, every human is different. We all have different personalities. We all have different ways of communicating. However, the association manager has to understand that there's a certain expectation that we're going to meet to continue to earn the business of the community.
Yeah.
And we can't work with 7 different board of directors. So if we have 7 different board of directors providing direction to the association manager, whose expectation are we meeting? So in those scenarios, we would say, hey, we need to channel all the board's information to the board president or whoever's designated to communicate with the association manager, and the association manager will take that ball and run with it as the board of directors sees fit.
Now, if I'm a resident and I decide to send the board an email and then copy you on it, is that something I think might you also encourage, or is it still better to just kind of run that solely through the board?
Well, as a homeowner, I would recommend you go through the association manager and then copy the board of directors. However, it also comes back to the culture of your specific community.
Yeah.
If you guys are used to communicating with your board of directors, do what you normally do that conducts the business of your association in an efficient manner.
Right.
Whether that's copying the association manager or directing it to him or her.
Okay.
What would you say the most common method is, though?
On how to communicate?
No. Do most people come to you as a property manager versus to the board, and then, or you're kind of the traffic
We're the
cop?
buffer. Yeah. We're the buffer. We're the good cop, bad cop, all cops.
That's right. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times they don't feel comfortable with confrontation or whatever. They want to have somebody that they believe can represent both sides. Is that kind of what you said?
Naturally, that's what we try to do. We try to set the expectation, especially with new associations that we've had the opportunity to earn their business. We set that expectation right from the get-go because we're there to assist the board of directors. We're the only people in the room usually getting paid to do anything. So the board of directors, we try to take as much work off of them. So we like to see it where all the information comes to us. If it's directed to the board of directors, obviously we share that information with them.
And again, the residents don't dictate, right, your priorities or what your tasks are. That all comes from the board of directors at the end of the day.
Johnny, it's a very good thing that you brought up is the priorities. Because everybody in the community, whether it's 200 or 1,000 or 10,000 homes, everybody has their idea on how they feel it should run. The board of directors are the elected membership of those communities. So the board of directors sets the priorities and in turn sets the direction to the association manager on what to work on and what not to work on.
Now, we've brought in, all kinds of experts here when we're talking about, again, the many aspects of any community, security and amenities and that sort of thing. Do you find that it is that the property manager is or maybe isn't the best person to involve in the decision-making process or in a consulting type of role when it comes to, do we get a security gate? Do we put up security cameras? Do we put a pool in the community? That sort of thing.
Well, getting the opinion of the association manager, I think, is going to be quite beneficial because typically the association manager is going to be the one going and getting the bids, speaking firsthand with these types of vendors. Now, if you have an engineering problem, you have an electrical problem, let's get a professional involved and get their opinion if you're going to be making a decision on that. However, as far as the overall process is concerned, how was it when you vetted this particular vendor? When you spoke with their references, what did they tell you about that company? Now, that's the information your association manager should be able to bring to the table.
Well, and again, hoping that the association manager is the neutral body in that equation right there. They're also going to give you all the pros and cons, right, of those ideas that are floating around. And so whether it's security or amenities and that sort of thing, they're going to say, hey, yeah, look, a pool sounds great, but you don't really have that many people in the community that are going to take advantage of it, or it's going to bump up your monthly fees this much, or it'd be great because, so many people have told me that, they have to travel, to the YMCA to use the pool, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I would recommend getting hold of Dean through his website, thecondocoaches.com, and maybe he can provide you some data for your specific community that might say, hey, this getting a pool may work for your community or it may not.
One of the things we're doing, back to you're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts, is the condo coaches are providing now at no cost a template that'll be designed with the various associations, logoed with the associations for a online survey.
Beautiful.
And, we've done several of them now, and it's pretty interesting because you take what the property manager feels, the board feels, and you create a 10 or 15 page survey, and you can have actually where they put in their dialogue or 1 to 10s. And it's crazy how when you get a 20 or 30% recapture, which is a statistical 100% home run, what you find out. So it's something we've started offering at no charge to any associations or communities out there. They just need to go to help at the Condo Coaches and tell us, and then we'll reach out and send them a template so they can work on that survey.
Well, and again, as we were talking earlier in the show, maybe you set up a technology committee, and part of their responsibility is maybe an online survey, and or maybe handling the results of the survey that the Condo Coaches put together for you, and how to distribute the results of that survey. We got a couple minutes left here, but Dean was also telling us off air about kind of an interesting approach that you're exercising on building communication within a community.
That's exactly right. I mean, most homeowners have a very good education base, but they just need a little bit more information on how your homeowners association or your condo works. And what we try to do is we actually have a program that we set up. We have about 8 to 12 classes per year where we assist homeowners, whether they're with Leland Management or any other one. We send them out to numerous homeowners in the 7-county area around Tampa. And they're more than welcome to come join us in our classes because we feel that the more information the board of directors has, it makes the culture, the community, and the actual business of the association run so much more smoothly.
And when we're talking about, again, some of these communication approaches and that sort of thing, I mentioned briefly in the last segment, of course, or maybe it was off air, but we were talking about all the different and new ways there are to communicate. Of course, texting being one of them, but and being a more mainstream one. But we're seeing Facebook groups, we're seeing apps like Nextdoor. What's your thought on some of those ways to communicate, more technologically?
As an association manager, I look at it as a tool.
Okay.
I'm not personally very active on the social media. However, it can be quite beneficial. It can also be, on the flip side, could be quite the negative in your community.
Sure.
Again, it's based on the culture of your community. If it's providing a benefit, it's moving your community forward, by all means, embrace that and help it out.
Excellent. Well, and again, there are a number of assessments that we can do for your community, be it financial, be it insurance, be it security, all those kind of things. So, again, if you want to help build a better relationship with your property management company, reach out to the Condo Coaches. We'll get you, pointed in the right direction. The way you do that is go to thecondocoaches.com. That's thecondocoaches.com.
And I want to make a comment because we had a board recently to use our new tool where they put in their total thing to make the community perfect, and what the investment was back. And the board member called me this weekend and said they presented it and everybody's eyes got big. They had no idea that they could really do what they want to, probably.
Yeah, right.
And nobody had ever set the vision. They were always just kind of patching it. So,
day by day, right?
Yeah, so that spreadsheet's available. If anybody emails help@condocoaches.com, we'll email it back to them. They just put what they want in there, and it goes back. It's just facts.
Right. Do up a little vision board for your community.
Yeah, it worked great.
All right. So reach out to Dean. Email help@thecondocoaches.com, help@thecondocoaches.com, or you can shoot him a call, 813-331-5415. That's been another edition of The Condo Coaches. See you next time.
You've been listening to The Condo Coaches, brought to you by lmfunding.com. Find us online at thecondocoaches.com and join us this same time next week as we help you navigate life in your managed community.